I was listening to this podcast called Decoder Ring.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's great. And they were doing an interview on what is wrong with people and their obsession with celebrity.
Okay.
Yeah. And she spoke with this scientist person who was doing a study on minkies and seeing if they also had the same issue that we do.
Minkies?
Minkies.
Minkies?
Yeah.
Minkies?
Those ones. Yes, minkies. That's what I said.
Okay.
They
Primates.
do. Yeah, they have the same problem.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Like monkeys have celebrity problems?
Yeah. They did this.
Who's their favorite Kardashian?
A bunch of. Well, they have monkey celebrities.
Who's their favorite monkey Kardashian?
I don't know much about the Kardashians.
You're better off.
Anytime I saw that name, I just ran the other direction.
No, that's the correct response. Yeah.
Nice. They did this experiment where they had the celebrity monkeys, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming these are like leaders or like real good banana openers. Like I don't know what dictates a celebrity.
Man, if they're really talented banana openers, though.
Right. Or maybe there's like really good looking monkeys. I don't know. But they
could just be hot monkeys.
They were able to figure out like these are the good ones and these are the bad ones because they were like hit the button of the monkey you like more and you'll get more, you'll get a reward. Well, then they like started to pair images of the celebrity monkeys with different coffee brands. So they got the same reward regardless, right? So they're like, we paired hot monkey with Starbucks and unhot monkey with like Dunkin's. And then they switched it and like whichever one had the hot monkey, they would pick.
Huh.
And then they just got rid of the monkeys altogether and they had the brands. And then whichever brand was associated with the hot monkey, they picked that brand.
Oh, they would still carry over once they got rid of the hot monkey.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So like celebrity sells even among the monkeys.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's fascinating and kind of depressing.
Mm-hmm. Like the conclusion being that we are hardwired to be idiots.
Yeah, basically.
Right?
Oh God, no, that's a relief. Holy shit.
I guess.
No, that makes me feel a lot better about all of my life decisions.
They were talking to different, like the feeling of being famous is like being addicted to sweet, sweet cocaine. The brain recognizes fame, like if you are a famous person.
Sure.
The same way as drug addiction. And they were talking to specific celebrities who had once been famous but are no longer famous, who had drug addictions, and are like, oh yeah, fame was the best. The best.
I believe
drug.
that. Yeah.
And then I was thinking, because they would do studies, and this was from a person who their job was to make sure actors who were becoming famous didn't lose their fucking mind. And they had like branched off of that to study it. And they're like, it's something that happens on a biological level with celebrities, where once they start becoming famous, they start to crave that drug. And then I was thinking about Keanu today, and like, he dodged it. Like,
it seems like he totally dodged it. Yeah. How?
I feel like there's just some people that are so humble, or maybe they don't even like want it. They don't even like want fame.
Maybe he just has like the least addictive personality
That could be it,
on
too.
the face of the planet. Like,
I've never heard of him having like a drinking or even like a smoking.
No, I've never heard of like a drug controversy with Keanu Reeves at any point. Even whenever he was doing like weird fucking roles, like his role in Dracula, or like
he was not the best Harker, but what are you gonna do?
Like there was never any point where I was like, man, this guy's just coke-addled as fuck. Like it's Keanu.
The only shit I've ever heard people say negative about him is his, some of his performances were lacking. Like, I know Kung Fu. Like,
I know Kung Fu.
Right. Like, if that's the worst.
Iconic.
If that's the worst thing somebody has to say about you as a celebrity, you're doing it right. So that's the one thought I had today.
Okay. That's a fascinating thought, especially considering like some of the people that are nominated for this year's Razzies.
Yeah. We should bring that up once we get to a certain category.
Yeah.
So the other thought I had, I was thinking about, we're going to play 5 questions later.
We are.
Or
Can we be friends?
Right.
Yeah, as we've subjected 2 podcast hosts to at this point, we are going to subject ourselves to it and test the limits of our friendship.
Right. This is another chance for us to get canceled. I'm trying.
Fuck. God damn it.
Duped again. Well, I was like, okay, so what is it about the movies that I picked that I have in common?
If you say that you picked Birth of a Nation for any of the good ones, I swear to God.
I did consider it for a movie I hate.
Oh, that's fair. That's the one. That's the one you can choose that for.
Yeah, that's the only category that falls under. I went with something different, something a little bit more modern than Birth of a Nation, because I've never watched it, so I kind of just.
I think I watched it in college.
That would for a study, I could imagine watching it.
I don't think I paid that close attention to it, or I repressed most of what was in it. I can't remember which.
The summary, I feel, is all you need to know for Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
God. For those of you who don't know Birth of a Nation, it's a movie by, I want to say, D.W. Griffith.
Yeah.
From the aughts.
Yeah, it's super fucking old.
It's
old.
Old.
It's either the 19-aughts or the 1910s. I can't remember which off the top of my head, but it's super fucking racist.
The reason I hate it is because it glorifies the Ku Klux Klan,
yes.
which at that time was a dwindling group. It was going to be extinct.
It could have just been wiped off the face of the planet, and then this movie happened and reinvigorated it, basically.
It made the Ku Klux Klan the heroes of the piece, saving somebody for racist reasons.
Yeah.
And then I forget what the movie he made that was like, I'm sorry. But it doesn't matter.
He made an I'm sorry?
Yeah, it was still
too late, DW. Fuck you.
Right. It's like, see how well it worked because no one knows.
Yeah. I'm learning that today.
Yeah. I was like, okay, well, maybe these are movies, the ones that I picked, maybe these are movies from when I became film literate. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, oh, when did I become film literate? Because we grew up prior to like streaming.
Right.
We had movie stores.
We had our Blockbusters and our Hollywood videos, our Eagle videos around these parts.
Our movies. Well, I think mine started when I bought a old ass fucking TV at a yard sale for $5.
Nice.
It wasn't even worth that, but but I was able to have like a TV in my room, and therefore I was able to like stay up late and watch movies that I typically wouldn't see during the day. That's where I first saw Blade Runner. That's where I first saw Fifth Element, The Professional, movies like that.
Sure.
I think Alien. Anyway,
yes,
that was the start of it. But these are still movies that are relatively well known. Then I went to college, and all of the weirdos were able to share, even if they were just a little weird, they were able to like contribute that weirdness.
Yeah.
My one friend Vicky was a huge Scorsese fan. I don't think I'd watched the Scorsese film up to that point.
Oh, so then that's like your introduction to like Taxi Driver and shit, right there.
Yeah, she had like several different collections, and I just powered through.
And that changed your life,
right? These are movies. A lot of the movies that I picked are things that I discovered. Like I had to hunt them down and discover them, and that's still something I think a lot of horror fans can relate to this.
Sure, yeah.
Where they're like seeking that spooky that they're craving from their youth. So they'll find this like out of print movie from Thailand that you can only get on napkins. It's like a flip book.
It's like a Chick Track, but you want it.
Right. So I think a lot of the movies on here are that, where I'm like, I'll give this movie a shot.
Okay.
Like Perfect Blue. I was like, I'll give this a shot. Which I did the same night as it was my palate cleanser after Eraserhead.
Oh shit.
I like watched Eraserhead. I'm like, I need a palate cleanser before I go to bed. So then I watched Perfect Blue, which same flavor. Just in color.
Oh God. That's what you needed.
Right. And I'm just sitting there in the turlet. Not in the turlet, but on the turlet.
No, I know you learned after the first time.
You ever do that when you're like in the middle of the night as a youth? Just like,
you sit down without looking, and
then you're like, now my butt's wet.
Yep.
Because the seat's
that's absolutely happened. Yeah.
It's ruined me as a person. Like, we really took a a real Rorschach. I'm like, that's not the word you're looking for, Jack. It was like word association was the word I'm looking for. But then because I said the word Rorschach, I'm like, what would Rorschach's favorite film be?
Birth of a Nation.
And I was like, oh, Birth of a Nation.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? I feel like this would be a fun segment to have in the future. I didn't have enough time to think about it today. But like, what are the favorite movies of fictional characters?
Interesting.
Both the one they say out loud and the truth.
And the truth.
And
ooh.
I thought of specifically the Kevin Conroy animated Batman.
Ooh.
What his are. And I think the one he says is his favorite is It's a Wonderful Life.
That's not the real answer.
But it's not the real answer.
That's not the real answer.
The real answer is WALL-E.
That's a good answer, though.
It's a good answer. He's like, that brave little robot was able to change the whole course of humanity for the good.
Yeah.
Even at great sacrifice of himself. And I'm like, I feel like Batman relates to that. He might not even admit to himself that's his favorite, but it is.
Batman cries to WALL-E. 100%.
I think if you don't cry to WALL-E, there's something wrong with you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's I've seen that movie like 30 times and it still makes me cry.
Yeah. Oh, God, there's
a reason that I mean it's Becca's and we both love this movie, but there's a reason there's a Lego WALL-E just on display in our house.
It's a good little robot.
Yeah, he's a great robot.
So those were all of the brain thoughts I had today, leading into what is supposed to be a relaxed fit episode.
You can tell.
the thoughts were many and brief, but hey, welcome to DeRazzled, the podcast that takes award-winning worst films and fixes them.
Except for today.
I happen to be host Jack Culbertson. Here to suffer alongside me, as always, is Joe Nealis.
Welcome.
We are doing a bit of a relaxed thing today because the winners of the Razzies have been announced.
As of yesterday, yes. It is our grim duty to cover this historic event.
And because we both had it spoiled for us yesterday, we did have time to watch the Worst Picture winner.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in just a moment.
Yes. First, we're going to go through the winners.
We're going to go through the winners. So normally we try, if you listen to our Razzie nominations episode, we try to keep our reactions fresh for the actual episode for these things. But then Jack got spoiled for the winner, and then I got spoiled for like half the category. So I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to look. So I know who won, and Jack doesn't.
Just the Worst Picture and that LeBron won something.
Yeah. That's all that Jack knows. He doesn't know any further specifics. So I'm going to share those with him. So we're going to jump in, I think.
Maybe after we tell them where they can find all our shit.
That's a good point. So go ahead and follow us if you're not already on our various social media accounts, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. Make sure you rate and review and subscribe wherever you possibly can. And yeah, just keep telling your friends and sharing the show around. We want to get more people in here so that we can share our stupid and our fun with everybody.
And if you happen across D.W. Griffith's grave, poop on it.
Poop right there. Mm-hmm. If you don't have to, like, force it.
But not too much.
Not too much. I don't want you to hospitalize yourself shitting on D.W. Griffith's grave. But
eventually, at some point, you will have to poo, and that poo belongs on his grave. And he knows.
He knows. Pee is acceptable.
If that's all you can muster.
If it's all you can muster, it's acceptable. You're doing your part. Anyway.
Great, yeah. Now that public service announcement's out of the way.
Things I didn't expect to talk about today. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, Jack, do you want to know who won at the Razzie Awards this year?
I don't, but let's do it anyway.
Okay, so we'll start from the bottom. We'll start from the bottom and work our way up here.
Like everyone bathes. You start cleaning at the toes and work your way up to your head.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's the most efficient way to bathe, right? All the water flows up, so you have to.
Right.
So we're gonna start with the novelty category for this year.
Oh, right.
Worst performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie.
Uh-huh.
So as a reminder, I know you're familiar with all of these, but the films were American Siege as Ben Watts, Apex as Thomas Malone or The Prey, Deadlock as Ron Whitlock, Fortress as Robert Michaels, Cosmic Sin as James Ford, Midnight in the Switchgrass as Carl Helter, Out of Death as Jack Harris, and Survive the Game as David.
Right, those award-winning films that all came out last year.
Noteworthy films that you were all well aware of and have watched several times since their release. Cosmic Sin was the role that won in this category.
Right.
So his role as James Ford stood out among all of these as a noteworthy shitty performance. Now, we mentioned before we got started here that I actually had a thought on this. So I've been pretty vocal about my distaste for Bruce Willis lately, is because he is kind of an arrogant, racist guy. Mm-hmm. Some stuff has perhaps come out about him that makes me second guess some of that.
Really?
So, supposedly, he has been dealing with memory decline for several years. Some people have thrown the word dementia around. Some people have suggested other potential diagnoses. No one really knows for sure. The one thing that people do know is that it has resulted in a reconciliation between him and some members of his family and Demi Moore.
I didn't know they ever had bad blood. I mean,
they divorced, but yeah, aside from that, I don't know the whole story there. Sure. But there have been like a lot of like family photos of them recently.
I see.
Like doing cutesy stuff, like wearing matching pajamas and stuff like that. So like something's happening there behind the scenes that people aren't aware of, and people apparently have been seeing him on set with like handlers and caretakers, like helping him get around and remind him of what he's supposed to be saying or doing. And if that's the case, maybe we shouldn't be shitting on Bruce Willis in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm that pause there wasn't because I was like, maybe we should. Yeah. It was more like, how do you do the Razzies or similar award shows in a way that doesn't shit on people in a future-proof kind of way, right? So like maybe later we find out that, not that Keanu's ever been, we can just use him because we can safely say he's, but like we later find out that Keanu doesn't know how to do kung fu because he has toothpicks for legs, and we're like, I feel really bad about saying that.
He must have worked really hard to do that kung fu,
right?
Just like, man,
those people that like make bridges out of toothpicks.
Yeah,
they brought one of those guys in to make legs.
There you go
for Keanu.
But yeah, now I'm not saying that like the Razzies should have been like super aware of this, because apparently the vast majority of people were not readily aware of this.
I had no idea.
And given there has been no confirmation from Bruce Willis or any of his representation or family about this either, but like if this stuff is true, then
it's hard to, given what I've heard you say about what the hell is that called? Not the burnings, the roast.
The roast. The Comedy Central effigy of Bruce Willis. No, yeah, the Comedy Central roast of Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
No, that's still like a very uncomfortable thing for me. It does not land very well at all. Like you watch some roasts and like it's like, oh yeah, like they're giving him what for, and he gets to get up there and make fun of everybody back, but they do it for him, and it's just like, man, there's a lot of jokes about how racist you are. Yeah. This is weird.
And while I don't think that, if this is all true, I don't think that clears him of all previous statements.
I agree. I definitely agree with that, because having some level of mental illness or mental disability is not an excuse to be racist.
Right.
Right. Or in his case, to be as much as like an arrogant douchebag as he's been reported to be on sets.
Right. I mean, even this is not a 1-to-1, but in college I had no idea that I needed medication, and that I was like the reason I was acting certain ways because of CPTSD. The things I did in college, I still did them.
Right.
There's a reason behind it, but I still did them. So if somebody's like, "Hey, I'm mad at you for this thing you did in college," I'll be like, "That's fair."
I get it. Yeah. It's what Marcus Parks from the last podcast on the left always says. Mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. So So you still have to take responsibility for the shit that you did. Right. It's just
So I understand Bruce Willis may have done some of the things he did because of what's going on with his health. Still shouldn't be a rampant racist and egomaniac.
Yeah, no, he should not do those things. And I'll put an allegedly. On some of that stuff because again, like, who knows how much is being played up for heightened reality and jokes and whatnot,
right,
and so on and so forth.
Source is the burning of.
Source is burning, man.
Shit.
But it feels weird to have an entire category of hey, your performances were shit, when it's like, well, maybe
there's a reason.
Maybe he's trying his best here, and it's like maybe don't.
In the past, we've talked about don't punch down.
Yes,
and I feel like Bruce Willis, prior to this knowledge, would have been a safe
punch up. Yeah, but if this shit's true though, then I don't think that's true. I don't think that holds up.
And if this was the very first thing that the Razzies have done where I'm like, that was shitty, I'd probably be like, they didn't know it was fine. They have a bit of a history of...
They have a bit of a history of shit like that, and it's frustrating.
Yes.
But we'll get into more of that as we go on.
Right.
We'll move on to the next category here for now. The Razzie Redeemer Award.
Oh.
So not every year, they don't always do this, but every now and then the Razzies will offer an award as recognition of a previous Razzie winner stepping up and transcending their previously seen acting ability and becoming like an established great actor.
Ben Affleck won.
Won a Redeemer,
for example.
Yeah. And yet they nominated him for Best Supporting Actor this year.
Well, you know.
But, you know, past performance doesn't always mean present, you know,
right,
so whatever. Right. So there were 3 people nominated this year. Jamie Dornan for his role in Belfast, Will Smith for King Richard, and Nicolas Cage for Pig. The winner, Will Smith.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, awesome.
I'm thrilled for that. I'm thrilled for Will Smith there because, as we've discussed, our very first episode was Wild Wild West. And again, that movie, and I will die on this hill.
Yeah.
Were it released in any year that was not 1999, would not have won, or maybe even been nominated for Worst Picture. It has its problems, certainly, but it's not bad.
I think the reason I'm disappointed is because I never thought Will Smith needed redeemed. I thought he was fine.
I would argue that he didn't need redeemed either, but here we are.
Yeah.
Though I am interested to see this movie because I haven't yet. King Richard, yes. Though I also do want to. I have to make a correction because in our nominations episode, I brought it up as though it were an adaptation of one of the Shakespeare plays.
No, it's definitely King Richard III.
Yes,
my horse, my kingdom for a tennis ball.
King. Yeah, because I genuinely had no idea what the film was fucking about, and yeah, it turns out it's about Venus and Serena Williams' dad. It's just. Which, great. I bet that's an interesting story, and I want to watch it.
Now I want to see him be King Richard III.
I want to see Will Smith as Venus and Serena Williams' dad as Richard III.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is just the sort of film I would love to suffer through.
Oh my God. Okay, moving on. Worst screenplay. Nominations were Diana the Musical, Karen, The Misfits, Twist, and The Woman in the Window. And this went to... Take a guess.
Diana.
It went to Diana the Musical, yes.
I assume anytime Diana pops up, there's a good chance it won.
1. Okay, that's 1 for Diana. Who, again, was the most nominated film
of this
season. Year. Yeah. Moving on here, worst prequel, remake, ripoff, or sequel. Nominees were Karen, which is an inadvertent remake of Cruella, which is a stupid nomination. That's a dumb criteria. Tom and Jerry, Twist, which is a rap remake of Oliver Twist, which I am morbidly curious to check that out, actually. Space Jam: A New Legacy, and The Woman in the Window.
Sure.
Which is apparently a ripoff of Rear Window. But doesn't matter because justice prevailed and it went to Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I also would have accepted Tom and Jerry, but Space Jam.
You did watch Tom and Jerry and told me about how terrible that was. Yeah. But Space Jam, I will forever file Space Jam under so bad that it comes across as crass.
Of the two, it is the worst.
Yeah. Worst on-screen combo. Any klutzy cast member or lamely lyricized or choreographed musical number for Diana the Musical. Mm-hmm. Jared Leto and either his 17-pound latex face, his geeky clothes, or his ridiculous accent in House of Gucci. Ben Platt and any other characters who acts like Platt singing 24/7 is normal in Dear Evan Hansen. LeBron James and any Warner character or Time Warner product that he dribbles on in Space Jam: A New Legacy. And Tom and Jerry, a.k.a. Itchy and Scratchy for Tom and Jerry. And Jack, who do you think won this one?
I want it to be Space Jam. I want it to be, but I'm assuming Diana.
You actually get what you want with this one.
Really?
Yeah, LeBron
good.
James and any Warner cartoon character or Time
Good.
Warner product.
Good.
Yeah, I cannot overstate the utter lack of chemistry or charisma from anyone or anything in this movie. It's so bad.
What was the movie you said he was decent in?
Trainwreck.
Okay.
Yeah, the one with Bill Hader and Amy Schumer.
Because again, it appears as though he's never read a script before.
Yeah, it genuinely seems that way. Like his acting in this is atrocious.
All right, hit me.
Okay, moving on to actual individual awards here. Worst Supporting Actress. We have Amy Adams for Dear Evan Hansen as Cynthia Murphy, Sophie Cookson in Infinite as Nora Brightman, Erin Davey in Diana the Musical as Camilla Parker Bowles, Judy Kay in Diana the Musical as both Queen Elizabeth II and Barbara Cartland, and Taryn Manning for every last one of them as Maggie.
I watched Diana last night.
Yes.
And I will definitely say the switch between the Queen and some woman in a pink suit, which I assumed was that creature from the Harry Potter movies.
I had that moment too. Yeah. I was
like, what's she doing here?
Yeah, I had this Umbridge moment there that made me so many levels of upset, but then I was able to take myself out of it. But
I'm like, is this like a deep cut for Diana fans? Because I have no idea what this is. I'm going to go with the person who played Camilla.
Actually, you were, again, right the
really?
first time,
Okay.
Judy Kay for her role, her dual role as Queen Elizabeth II and Barbara Cartland, who, according to the musical, is a romance novelist who, by way of marriage, became Diana's grandmother.
That's who that's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
who that's supposed to be. I don't know if any of that's historically accurate. I am going to be looking into a lot of that stuff later.
I skimmed it a little bit last night, and it seems that a lot of it was shrunk down. And
Oh, of
maybe,
course.
like, so it's not like egregiously false, but also,
Yeah. Liberties were taken.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of stuff was left out, which I'll get to.
Okay. Worst Supporting Actor. We have, as we mentioned, Ben Affleck for The Last Duel as Count Pierre d'Alençon. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Nailed it.
Nick Cannon in The Misfits as Ringo. Not Star, I've confirmed. Mel Gibson is in Dangerous as Dr. Alderwood. Gareth Keegan in Diana the Musical as James Hewitt, the muscle-browned horse trainer.
Oh, yeah, he was pretty bad.
And then Jared Leto for House of Gucci as Paolo Gucci.
They gave it to Leto, right?
I absolutely gave it to
Okay.
Leto. Yeah, Jared Leto won this. Just, again, I have not seen this movie. Yeah. I am, honestly, at this point, I just want to watch it to see how bad the accents are, because that's all I ever fucking hear about this movie from everybody, from Lady Gaga to Jared Leto to everyone around them.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant that she said they were awful accents.
What, Lady Gaga?
Yeah.
No, people said her accent was awful.
It's a Ridley Scott film, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Not that means anything. He's very hit and miss.
Yeah.
But like, he did Blade Runner, Alien, so
It's true.
He's done a lot of garbage.
There's some big fucking hits in there that make up for it, though.
And Thelma and Louise, I think.
What?
I think he also did Thelma and Louise and, of course, Gladiator.
I always forget that he did Gladiator. Shit. All right. Anyway, moving on. Worst actress. We have Amy Adams for Woman in the Window as Dr. Anna Fox. Megan Fox in Midnight in the Switchgrass as Rebecca Lombardi. Jenna DeWall in Diana the Musical as Princess Diana. Taryn Manning in Karen as Karen Drexler. And Ruby Rose in Vanquish as Victoria.
This is lead actress?
This is worst actress, yes.
I see, like, I don't want to say Diana because she wasn't that bad. I mean,
I agree.
She wasn't awesome, but like she wasn't Razzie bad.
No, I don't think she was Razzie bad.
I'm going to go with the dark horse, lady person from Victoria.
You're going with Ruby Rose?
Yeah.
We're both disappointed in this one because they gave it to Jenna DeWall.
Really?
Yeah, they gave it to her for Princess Diana. I agree that I don't think she deserves this. This is yet again, I think, an example of the Razzies nominating somebody for being in a bad movie rather than putting on a bad performance. And
we'll get to our review.
There are thoughts. Thoughts. Worst actor. So we have Scott Eastwood in Dangerous as Dylan D. Forrester. LeBron James in Space Jam: A New Legacy as himself. Ro Hartrumpf in Diana the Musical as Prince Charles. I have no idea how to pronounce that name without that kind of emphasis at this point because we've made that joke too many times. Right. Ben Platt in Dear Evan Hansen as Evan Hansen. And Mark Wahlberg in Infinite as Evan McCauley and Heinrich Treadway.
LeBron should get it. Or Ben Platt.
Pick one.
LeBron was pretty bad.
LeBron got it. Yeah, LeBron James was worst actor this year. Absolutely. I agree with this. Given I haven't seen Dear Evan Hansen,
I don't want to.
I'm morbidly curious because everyone got real mad.
Listen, we don't want to become the bad movie musical podcast. Like, that's not what we're aiming for.
I know. Okay, worst director. We have, again, this hurts my heart, but Steven Chbosky for Dear Evan Hansen. Coke Daniels for Karen. I'm never going to get tired of saying that.
He won. I don't care. Whatever you say next doesn't matter. He won.
I forgot about this. We completely glazed over this in our nomination discussion, but Rennie Harlan for Misfits.
God. Yeah.
Christopher Ashley for Diana the Musical, and Joe Wright for The Woman in the Window.
Rennie Harlan being
Cutthroat Island.
Cutthroat Island. And do you do the sound of butterfly squishing?
Sound of thunder.
Yeah.
I think he was supposed to.
He was supposed to, right.
And
he's popped up in our discussions a number of
couple of times now. So, Antonio, thank you.
and how dare you? Karen, just because I want to... no.
You just really wanted to go to Coke Daniels.
Mr. Coke.
Nope. It's Christopher Ashley for Diana the Musical.
Oh, I'm glad Mr. Coke won it. We will find a way to cover Karen.
I want to watch it. I genuinely want to watch this fucking movie.
I want to see it like the way that the kids in Stand By Me wanted to see the dead body, and then they see the dead body, and they really wish they hadn't seen the dead body.
I want you to hold on to that metaphor, because if that turns out to be fucking true, like we're just going to open up the episode with like that clip.
Okay.
Like, we're gonna somehow buy the rights to that clip.
Well, somewhere Rob Reiner and Stephen King are just like, no, you're right. You're right.
And the tippy top, the cream of the crop, the all the flavor in your Starbucks latte that's sunk to the bottom. Actually, worst picture. We both already know what this is.
Yeah. I'm curious. I can't remember the nominees.
So the other nominees, I should say, were Infinite, Karen, Space Jam: A New Legacy, and The Woman in the Window. But the winner is Diana the Musical.
Yep, they did it.
They did it. We did it.
We're gonna let you sit with that in your gut, like a week-old Guinness.
Oh God!
While we take a break and poop on D.W. Griffith's grave.
Yes.
Oh, it was Intolerance, by the way. Intolerance was his I'm Sorry film. Kind of.
Yeah, too late, bud.
It did come a year after.
I mean, that's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, he did. He was like, oh, shit.
Wow. That's actually interesting. How do you make an apology film that fast and have it also be erased forever? Oh, right, because you made Birth of a Nation.
Sorry, I just saw that Todd Browning did some writing on it. He did the Lugosi Dracula.
Yeah.
I think Freaks, I want to say.
Okay.
The synopsis is the story of a poor young woman separated by prejudice from her husband and a baby. And baby, not a baby, her baby.
Just some baby. We don't know. And wandered on set. We couldn't find any parents.
Is interwoven with tales of intolerance from and throughout history. Nobody cared because you brought back the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back after this ad. All right, we're back.
Here's the first 2 times I'm going to try to get us canceled this episode.
Christ. Okay.
So we're gonna talk about Diana. So the plan is to back when we first set out to do this series, we would reach the winner of the Razzies, and then our final episode would be for the season. Our final episode, period. If I have my way,
I refuse for Diana the musical to be our final episode ever.
Would be the winner of that year's Worst Picture.
Yes.
However, we have a bit of a problem.
What's that? Why's that?
We can't cover Diana the musical.
Why?
The Cameron role.
I don't know if this falls under the Cameron rule.
I feel like it does.
I don't know, because this actually has a cohesive narrative from a clear beginning, middle, and end.
It does have a plot, but it's not a movie. It's a recording of a stage show.
I would say not entirely, because there are some shots.
There's 6 shots.
There's a handful of them that are specifically there to break the stage framing. Like, key in my mind is the one from inside the telephone booth when the paparazzi's bothering her the first time.
A stupid shot.
It was a stupid shot, but it was there.
So there's a movie called Dogville, right?
Yeah.
Large Venture, which is a minimalist set with actors on a stage. That is not, in my opinion, a recording of a stage show.
No.
There's multiple cameras.
I mean, there are multiple cameras in this as well.
Kinda. But in like the sitcom kind of way where it's like left, right, center.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It was like, it was like a multicam sitcom 100%.
It's hard. So like, did you watch the live recording of Cats?
No.
Okay. It feels very much like that, but with like a handful of shots that they're like, oh, let's try getting a shot from here.
Sure. I can see that as well. I mean, it's you have kind of a similar thing with the live recording of Hamilton that's up on Disney Plus as well. Like it is the stage setup, just with some accommodations made for cameras in certain in certain ways.
And if Hamilton were somehow nominated for the Razzies,
I mean, some might argue,
and it won. I've not watched any version of it. I would also say that that's not a movie.
I see. I'm torn on this one. So I think that this was when we were first going through the nominations. I was really surprised to see this because I had not heard of it at the time.
Yeah.
And then like when we were looking into it during an act break, like that's when I saw. I was like, oh, okay. It looks like it's just a film version of a stage show.
Yeah. And
I didn't really make a big deal of that during the the actual recording. But the more I thought about it, the more that felt weird to me. And it wasn't until I actually watched the movie that it started to kind of click for me. Because if you go to the Razzies website, which if you can avoid going to the Razzies website, just fucking don't go there. It's one of the worst put together. Squarespace is a thing, man. Not sponsored, but like
it was made in 1995, and they've not changed it since.
It's ridiculous. Anyway.
We're never going to get that Razzie sponsorship.
I'm probably not. It's fine.
They did respond to us, though.
They did respond to us, yeah. So they did not have an actual ceremony this year due to COVID. Otherwise, we would have been live streaming that this year. Anyway, they mentioned on their website that this was a show that I don't even think made it to 40 live performances before it got shut down.
I'm sorry, that's not funny.
It's not, but then they did this.
It's funny in that, okay, well then why did Netflix decide to film it?
Why did Netflix decide to film it? That's where I think this gets interesting.
Okay.
Because I don't have a good answer for that right now. But the fact that something like that got given the resources for a film adaptation, or at least a film staging, I think there's a conversation there. And I think that actually piggybacks off of some of what we talked about in the Cats episode a little bit, in terms of how you can't just translate the stage experience to film. Like it doesn't work one-to-one. Like you can't do it.
And this wasn't even like a perfect one-to-one. It was more like a one. I don't know numbers, so this isn't good. But like,
I mean, it was basically a one-to-one.
They gave the tiniest little fart of a fuck to make it into not a direct one-to-one. Meaning they had that one shot from inside the telephone booth, and they had that one shot from like behind Diana at the end.
Yeah.
But I basically got the stage experience from watching that film, except for I didn't have the excitement of like being in the same space as the actors.
Yeah. And like for some things, there's a place for that, I think. Like with Hamilton, that is like so constantly sold out.
Right.
And people want to go see that, even though, as has been pointed out by media critics more qualified than I, that it's basically rapping slave masters. It's... Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the show. It's fun. Lin-Manuel Miranda does a very good job, but let's be real. Historically, it kind of clangs. But this, I don't know. Like, part of me feels like there's some merit to actually doing an episode on it. And then part of me does kind of see your argument, though.
Here's my suggestion. Two-part suggestion. The first part is that we put it up to a vote on the Twitter.
Becca just pointed out that it was actually on Netflix before anyone saw it in New York.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
I wonder if they assumed that because apparently... was it some kind of anniversary? Because there's been a lot of Princess Di stuff out this year.
It was scheduled to open late March 2020. Well, we know what happened then. And I mean, like the end credits do include a lot of photographs of people in masks to remind you this was a COVID production. So
I didn't make it through the credits, but I wonder if they assumed that it was going to be a success, so they went and recorded it before.
Maybe.
But here's my suggestion: we let our beloved audience vote whether they want to see us do an episode on this. Whether or not they think this is a movie and therefore skirts the Cameron rule, or if they prefer us to do another movie, which I suggest we do the movie that deserved to have won the Razzie.
Space Jam 2?
Thunder Force.
Okay, look, we're canceled! God damn it, Jack. There's a lot that I really like about that. Because I have specifically said we can't let that time of our lives go without anything coming from it.
Right.
It can't be. I could not have wasted all of that raw chicken time. I
don't think I've had chicken since then.
I have.
I'm sorry.
It was cooked.
Okay. Okay. I was worried there for a moment.
Jesus. Oh God. I'm okay with this. Okay, we'll put up. Okay, so scheduling note. We have an episode coming up before the finale because we're doing 50 Shades of Grey. So in the interest of actually getting this out there and figuring out like what's going to happen from it, we will put a poll up on our Twitter. And based on the results of that poll, it will go up the day that this episode comes out.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 29th.
Yeah.
And if you think we should cover Diana the Musical because it won Worst Picture, we'll cover that. If you think we should cover Thunder Force,
which was snubbed.
It did not get nominated for anything, and I will admit I got a little outlandishly upset about things in the nomination episode whenever it came to that. Then if you think we should cover that, we'll cover that.
Just put it out there.
We're just putting it out there. So I think either way, eventually we will do a snub episode on Space Jam 2 at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I didn't think we would run into this kind of complication at the end of the first fucking season.
I assumed they were going to pick a movie. That was like very clearly a movie. The last couple of years, they did pick a couple of documentaries.
They did, and as we've stated, we will not cover those because that's propaganda. That's not them's ain't movies. They's lies.
Even if it were a documentary that I agreed with.
Yeah, I still don't think I'd want to cover that
because that's not like a documentary that had nothing to do with anything. Like I want to mention some later. I still want to try to fix a documentary.
Yeah, like that's not what we do. Like that's not where our expertise lies. Yeah, expertise in quotes, but it just
right.
Yeah, so okay. We will put it to a vote. So yeah, if you want to see us cover Diana the Musical, or if you want to see us cover Thunder Force, let us know on Twitter. You have until the 50 Shades of Grey episode comes out to let us know your preference on that. So the poll will go up on Twitter. You can also vote via email you can send the email to DeRazzledPodcast@gmail.com, and we will count those votes as well.
Or option number 3, you can cancel us.
Or you can cancel us.
Yeah.
God damn.
I have a lot of writing I need to get done.
I should, but anyway.
So man,
Jesus Christ.
Diana.
So we'll talk a little bit about Diana the Musical briefly, in earnest now. Yeah. So like I said, I do kind of see like the point of nominating it because it was bad. It was a bad fucking musical.
It was bad, and maybe I am numb because I went through the theater program, but it wasn't. I'm like, yeah, musicals are kind of just that way. Like they're heightened reality. The music wasn't good. Thanks, Bon Jovi, apparently.
Yeah. A lot of that was thanks to a member of Bon Jovi, which, whew.
But like the performance and the story structure was not surprising to me, and those are the main things I disliked. I also think that because it's a biopic, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't like biopics. I don't usually like biopics.
Yeah, like they can be good. In particular, I fucking loved Rocket Man, but that was also like biopic meets jukebox musical, which was
I guess if it's Elton John music.
It's all Elton John music.
Yeah.
So it was great. Also, just Taron Egerton just did a very good job.
Biopics tend to be clunky and weirdly paced because that's the human life.
Yeah. It's almost like life doesn't actually fit a narrative so much. Huh? Who'd have thunk?
And trying to cram her life from meeting Charles till her death.
Yeah.
It wasn't always narratively interesting.
And thus it results in a lot of breakneck pacing. Like this this shit moves so fast. Like I looked down at my phone briefly for a couple of times, just like for a couple of moments, just like look at what was happening on Twitter or like I got a text or something. I look back up and it's like, oh, we've jumped like 4 years.
Right. Like from the moment she meets Charles till she pops out William is like 20 minutes.
Something like that. It's fast.
I also didn't appreciate that they left out her like post-divorce lovers who are all people of color.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah. The only person they mention her having an affair with is like strapping young lad with a giant horse cock. That's what I got out of it.
So, I've talked a lot about how I feel like Space Jam 2 is crass. This also
stupid musical number.
That was the moment where I was like, wow, this is starting to border on crass. Just you had the romance novelist come back out to sing about the well hung stable boy that comes to
neither of us
princess
have a problem talking about like wieners and
oh
sex
no, I'll
and
talk about cocks all day. That's fine. Just
but there's no indication that it's going there. Or that it's within the style of the film
and
until
they open the second act with it.
Umbridge comes out and starts singing about horsecocks. I'm like, Bushy, cover your ears. Bushy's my cat.
She doesn't need to hear about this.
She doesn't need to hear about that.
Oh, good Lord. I want to share with you something. So my partner Becca is on a musical improv team, and she watched this with me, and as soon as we finished, she sent this message to her team. Friends, if you haven't yet, you need to watch Diana. It's like if a bunch of really talented and well-funded creatives were forced to produce a musical written by an 11-year-old who has only ever listened to Bon Jovi. It's baffling how good the costuming is and how absolutely horrid the writing was. It's like they tried to do Evita using royalty-free pop rock music and a collection of live journal posts. Just...
That really kind of summarizes everything I would say.
It does. It's so succinct and perfect. I love it.
There are like two things I want to complain about before moving. Oh, well, one, I did like the set. The set was pretty cool.
I agree. I thought the set was pretty cool as well.
When the celloist, is that the word?
The cello. Well, I legitimately was like, okay, that's fucking cool.
That scene kept, and I was like, I can't decide if I love or hate this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Charles takes her on a date to see Bach, not the man, because he was very dead.
It was I forget. Was it actually Bach? I forget what he was playing.
I don't know, but the word Bach was used, and I was half paying attention. Whereas Princess Di was known to like hang out with Freddie Mercury at like gay nightclubs.
Yeah.
Which was not mentioned, but whatever.
Yeah, again.
So in her mind, she jumps between like, do I need to become this boring aristocrat, or do I need to stay true to myself and, hang out with Freddie Mercury in a gay nightclub? And the music jumps between those two things. I'm like, it's a little on the nose, but also it was shot interestingly, and the lighting setup was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the celloist disappears into the stage, which I know is like a real simple thing. Well, not simple, but like, I like that.
Yeah. No, I that was, they made really good use of that disappearing in the stage too. Like the costume change for the wedding.
I looked away for a second. I'm like, what? Huh?
Yeah. Becca and I had to sit there and like rewind it, and like we're trying to figure out like where the fuck did that there was a head there. There was someone else's head there. Where'd she go?
There's a scene where she's debating whether or not she can go through with the marriage.
Yeah.
And in the background, Charles is standing with
assumedly Diana in her wedding dress,
but she's like not lit, so you can't see who the person is in it.
Right.
But then like the actress who's playing Princess Di goes like around that, and then it just appears in her dress.
Yeah. So what had to have happened is that she went down the trap door like to go under stage and get out, and then Diana went in through the back. Like I guess like the dress had like an opening back or something, so she was able to step right into it.
And it's so quick.
It's so fast. It is like a snap, blink and you'll miss it. But she just
which I did. I blinked and I missed it.
Yeah, it's that was such a cleverly done thing. Same with I didn't put it together until later on whenever they sunk her hospital bed into the floor.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, because the queen comes out to do her queen bullshit and just talk at the crowd for a little bit via song. But you see, like as she comes into the foreground, Charles and Diana in the hospital bed just sink into the floor and they just disappear.
As Becca's pointing out, like technically this is a very impressive musical.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Like there's a lot of technical sorcery going on with this. Honestly, it's an accomplishment in a number of ways, and I mean just the costuming in general is exquisite. Like, is absolutely fantastic.
I wasn't like a huge fan of the costuming, but like it served its purpose for me.
Yeah, well, I think one of the most noteworthy things about Princess Diana is the way that she uses fashion to strengthen her the attention on her and what she's doing. So like with the AIDS photo op,
Yes.
where she was able to actually humanize those people. A lot of that was because people wanted to see what the hell she's wearing and whatnot, and they that made it people were already going to be paying attention to what she was wearing and and thus what she was doing. So for her to go and do stuff like that shined one hell of a spotlight on the big issues. And that's where it comes, that's why things like the fuck you dress are such a big deal.
Right, yeah.
And that song did a massive disservice to that moment. It's...
Yeah, the last half hour of it, I'm like, as soon as they had the conversation where the Queen and Princess Di are like, oh, we'll get along after this. No. We understand. I'm like, first of all, no. That was not a conversation that happened.
No.
The Queen was not cool with Di at all. But it felt very much to me like the writer was trying to give the Queen a pass on all the shitty things that she had done.
Yeah.
Could not stand.
I would not be surprised if that was true. And again, that that actress won the Razzie for Worst Supporting Actress for her performance, and I do think she was the weakest link in the cast for the most part.
Honestly, I think the chorus was the strongest part. I was like, you guys are
they were
it.
great. I loved the chorus. Oh my god, they were fantastic.
Very rarely do I see a show and I'm like, oh, the chorus was the best part.
Right? Yeah. No, I thought they were amazing.
And not because everyone else sucked real bad, but no, they were just really good.
No, and I would go so far as to say Jenna DeWall put on a good performance.
The person who played Di?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she did a good job. I think the person that played Camilla did a good job. The person who played Charles was, this depiction of Charles is despicable,
right.
But also Charles is, fuck him.
Yeah, I'm like, my major complaint with Charles is they made him too attractive. like the actor's too attractive.
He's definitely hotter than Charles. Yes, just
but Camilla was despicable, and the actress did a great job with that.
Yeah,
my only real complaint with Di is that she's a little older than I would have wanted, because she starts the story at the age of 19, but I'm like, no, that actress is nowhere near it.
Yeah, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's forgivable. Who?
It's a minor pick.
Yeah, God. So, and I think that's one of the things I find frustrating about these Razzie nominations is, this musical is an absolute fucking mess. But the performances therein aren't bad. I don't think they deserve these kind of nominations for it,
I will say that the Razzies are not chosen by a group like a council.
No,
they're
you can just
chosen
pay,
by vote.
you pay $40 and then you a regular person at home can vote for the Razzies.
Like you and I could easily have voted this year.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe when we make that much money on.
Yeah, right. I said we haven't even made that much money from our Anchor ad, so
no, but one of us will someday. And, I know what I'm getting you for your birthday.
No,
but so but the categories are, I assume, chosen by.
I think the categories,
aside from the normal ones,
I don't know. I feel like the categories have to be set before any voting can be done. I feel like that's got to be done by the board or the founding or the founders or whoever.
You know what this means? One of us has to go undercover.
Oh fuck. Oh boy. How do we do this?
I thinking of one of those plastic noses with the sunglasses and the plastic mustache.
No one will see that coming in 2022 or 2023.
It's very antiquated.
Yeah, it's very antiquated. No one's going to see Groucho Marx coming these days.
I'll be Groucho Marx. You be D.W. Griffith.
No! Damn it! Fuck!
All right, so let's put this to a vote.
No, we've already established one vote. We're not also putting up a vote for what disguises we're going to wear to infiltrate the Razzies nomination.
That's a more important question.
Oh my god!
Christ. Yeah. So that's Di.
That's die. Yeah, that's about all there is to really say about it right now. Yeah. If we do end up covering it for the finale, you'll hear more about it.
Definitely not the worst movie we've watched.
No,
in the Razzies.
For God's sake, no. It's not the worst movie I've watched for this show.
Not at all.
It's
probably not even the worst movie I've watched this month.
No.
Great. What you had something you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about just the Razzies in general. Mm-hmm. So we talked last time about that Slash Film piece asking if there's even a place for the Razzies anymore, like if we should just be done with the Razzies in general. Not long after we launched that episode, an interview got posted by Vulture with the founders of the Razzies. And like the big takeaway from that was that they feel they would take back Shelley Duvall's Razzie for The Shining. Now knowing what she went through on that set under Stanley Kubrick. So they talk about a lot of stuff in this article or in this interview, but the thing that really stood out to me the most here is this particular question and answer. So they were asked at one point, to some, the fact that particular actors like Ben Affleck repeatedly receive nominations feels like you're taking pot shots at favorite targets. Is that fair, or is that just the way it works out? And the founders responded like this. They said, it's kind of the way it works out if they become like a Nicolas Cage or a Bruce Willis. But Nicolas Cage, I just saw a film called Pig, and I liked his performance in that. We have a Razzie Redeemer Award. We don't like to pick on people. We like to call them out and say, hey, think about what you're doing. Think about your choices. That's the point. Some actors will just fall into a routine. Maybe they have a money machine that they need to fill. That's what happens, and it's just about calling it out. Part of what the award is about is not you suck and you've never done anything good. A lot of these people, it's about, wow, look at all the good stuff that you've done. Please explain this one. That would apply to Amy Adams this year. I've never been disappointed by a performance that she gave, and I think she's a very impressive actress. But she was in 2 of the nominated films, and she herself is nominated for each of them in 2 different categories. It's like the Oscars. Boy, they have some picks and misses that really boggled my mind. I was such a fan of Belfast, and Catriona Balfe was fantastic. A way better performance in my mind than Kristen Stewart and Spencer. And this is what happens. We try our best. So the question that I have there is that if it's not about picking on people, then why are decent performances in bad movies being nominated the way that they are? Because that feels like picking on people for just happening to be in a bad movie. Because I feel like you'd agree there's a difference between a bad movie and a bad performance.
Yeah. No, in Diana, there's some bad performances, but nothing that I'm like, you deserve the Razzie for just being here. And I also, that they kind of negate what they're saying by having a category just for Bruce Willis.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. You're not here to pick on anybody, but you gave him an entire category. Yeah. That's picking on a guy.
That's definitely, regardless of whether or not he deserves it, that's still picking on a guy.
Yeah, 100%.
I can agree with what they said about Amy Adams because she usually gives
she
very excellent.
She is an amazing actress. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then you have these. On one hand, it feels if they were a council, right? If this was like 6 people picking and choosing and whatever, I would say you're being lazy. But knowing that it's by vote, then I'm like, well, then it's people in general being lazy. And I wonder if it's a similar thing that happens with the Oscars where they're like, oh, we actually have no idea about how either editing works or like computer effects or whatever. We're just picking by the movie we think in Bizarro World is the worst. So like, we don't actually know acting good. Diana bad, all bad, therefore acting also bad in movie. I'm like, you've also probably not watched all of the movies that were nominated.
So they actually do talk a little bit about like where they're coming from in a particular example. When they're talking about the Shelley Duvall award that they would take back, here's another quote from them here. About the same film, the voting membership the very first year were largely people that Maureen and I worked with at a trailer company, Maureen being the other founder that's not talking right now. A group of us who had read Stephen King's novel and went to see The Shining the night it opened at the Chinese, and we didn't care for what Kubrick had done with the novel. The novel was far more visually astounding and far more terrifying, far more compelling, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, so they worked together at a trailer company. Like they didn't, they're not...
Trailer for the movie stars.
I would have, but like they're not filmmakers in their own right. They're not actors as far as I know. They're not they do some editing if they're piecing together trailers.
Oh, I thought you meant trailer as in like the thing the actors stay in trailer.
Oh, I it's not clear.
Sure.
I should say
Okay.
it is not clear here. That bears further research. But yeah, I mean, assuming you're if it is, you're piecing together film trailers, then you watch a lot of movies.
Yes,
you would have an eye for cinema, for performance, for narrative, for so on and so forth. Ideally, anyway.
Right.
But I don't know how you can, at that point, fail to acknowledge that you are picking on particular actors, and they've done this for a long time. It's a repeated pattern of behavior with the Razzies. Look at not altogether undeserved nominations for Sylvester Stallone over the years, for Madonna over the years. There's there are a number of different people, for Tyler Perry. There's a number of different actors that they really do hone in on, and whether it's deserved or not, like they do kind of pick on people.
They absolutely do. My question, because even if they are just picking the nominees, they're still picking the same couple of people.
Yeah.
As to who wins, I can't specifically blame them because it's by vote.
No, I do have one other gripe with the way they're looking at this here too, because they actually talk a little bit in this interview about the nomination of Karen.
Okay.
Because Karen is more of an independent production, and that's normally not something that they nominate. And they talk about it in this Vulture piece. I'll put a link to the piece in the episode description in case anyone wants to actually read this interview. They talk about it that they just saw it on a bunch of lists. A bunch of worst of lists. You know what else was on a bunch of worst of lists? Thunder Force. That's how I found out about it. That's how you found out about it.
Right.
We didn't find out about Karen that way.
I don't recall seeing Karen on a lot of shitty movies of this year list.
You dug into those way more than I did.
It may have been on like one or two, but not the vast majority.
Whereas Thunder Force was like universally.
Yeah, Thunder Force was on a lot. And if I don't know who these people are. I don't know if this is their like a side project or whatever. But we've also talked about like your words have consequences.
Yes.
Especially negative words. That they picked an indie film to be nominated, that kind of pisses me off. Especially because it wasn't just one category either. It was a number of categories that Karen was nominated for.
A bunch of them. Yeah. What was it? It was worst picture, worst director, worst actress, worst supporting actress, I think.
I can't remember.
Possibly screenplay as well. Yeah, because I think I remember seeing Coke Daniels' name under screenplay as well. Yep.
Here's what I propose. They've had the Razzies in their possession for so long. I feel like they've lost their passion for it. They're kind of just phoning it in. They obviously have other things to do. Their trailer business / making / housing actors.
I'm assuming that they're not doing that anymore.
They need to pass the torch on to people who are passionate about shitty movies.
Give it to Nicolas Cage.
Give it to Nick. I just watched an interview with him the other day. He would absolutely not want it. I say we take the Razzies
by force.
By Thunder Force.
No. God
by
damn it.
eating nothing but raw chicken. We buy the domain for the stinkers and we create a mega shitty movie award
we
show.
we merge them.
We merge them.
We merge them and we create the ultimate shitty movie awards.
We take the name recognition of the Razzies with the tact of... That's weird to say.
That's weird to say.
The tact of the stinkers. And creates...
an unstoppable force.
We have looked into the stinkers and where they've gone a little bit. And
a little bit. We're gonna keep looking into it.
Digging. It's. I had to use like the Wayback Machine to find any information.
Yeah.
Vote whether you think we should.
I'm not making all these polls, Jack. Come on.
You know it's gonna be you, me, and Becca voting on.
I know. No, Antonio will vote.
And Antonio.
Antonio will vote.
He'll be the
tiebreaker. Wait, they can't have a tie with three people.
Maybe
Hold on.
the tie maker.
Tie maker. Shit. Fuck.
I don't know if we came to a consensus on anything, but it was a good conversation to have. Razzies do better.
Razzies do better. That is...
Or give it to us and we'll do better.
Or give it to us and we'll do better. Just... Oh, man. Certainly give us an excuse to watch a whole lot more movies.
Yep. Well,
all right.
Fancy that. Looks like it's time for an ad. All right. We did it. We made it through the Razzie wins. We talked about Diana. We talked about the morality of shitting on people as a award show. Now we get to my favorite part of today's episode, my second chance to get us canceled.
God damn it. I like how you buried the lead that there were going to be two.
I kind of improv the first one. Just kind of.
Oh, fair. So you surprised yourself.
I did. I'm just looking for any reason to get us canceled. So we're gonna play Can We Be Friends, which is a game we've played twice so far.
Yes,
something
we played that with our dear friends Antonio Palacios of the Cultworthy podcast and Raphael Moran of the Geeky Dad podcast.
Yes, and something we like to do with the podcast guests.
Yeah.
We are doing it today, kind of because we knew we wanted to at some point, and kind of because
it'd be fun.
We talked about all that shit. Let's talk about something like some movies we actually like
for the most part. Yeah,
for the most part. We're working with most of the same questions that we asked Antonio and Raphael.
Yes.
I gave myself some extra limitations to spice things up.
I did not.
I limited myself to only using a movie from each decade once. So like only one from the 90s, only one from the 80s, such and so on. Excluding the two added ones I added on at the end. I was just like, nah, fuck it. But for the 5 main questions, I stayed to that. I also limited myself to I couldn't reuse anything that Antonio or Raphael had used.
Ooh, interesting.
Because for favorite movie, you already said Blade Runner, so I was like, well, shit.
True. Yeah.
And Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark is also top 5.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, the question is movie that you love, not necessarily favorite movie.
It's true. That's true. Those are also movies I love.
Yeah.
So let's start there.
Okay.
A movie you love.
I went with Knives Out.
Okay.
Yeah. There has not been a movie in the past, I don't know, within any recent memory that I think I have willfully went and seen in theaters multiple times and been like, fuck yeah, let's go. Like, I went and saw it with my friends, I went and saw it with my mom, and I went and I saw it with Becca early in our relationship. It was just like, great, I will go see this movie so many times. It's so good.
Are you excited for the sequel?
Very. I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see what Rian Johnson does with this. I can't wait to get more Benoit Blanc.
I'm excited, but I loved the cast of the first one so much.
That is like the one hesitance that I have. Though the new cast is getting pretty stacked.
That's true.
I'm cautiously optimistic, I'll say,
yes,
but leaning toward the more excited end of that.
He's one of those, Rian Johnson is one of those directors that I respect more than I enjoy their films.
Okay.
With the exclusion of Knives Out.
Because it's just so good.
Because it's so good. Like, unlike some people, I didn't hate Last Jedi. I didn't.
I will die on the hill that I love The Last Jedi. But
I don't like any of the sequel movies. But,
we've talked about that before, yeah.
But looking at it as like this is a movie of quality or not, it is. And it takes some like really interesting turns.
Yeah.
But like he hasn't until Knives Out made a movie that I'm like I'm 100% in.
Yeah, I honestly I think that's fair because like there are legitimate complaints to have with The Last Jedi. There's legitimate complaints to have with what Looper I think was his.
Yeah, I think Brick and the Brothers Bloom. I think
I'm not even aware of that one. But yeah, no, but Knives Out is just so comprehensively solid. Like the writing is so tight, the plotting, the performances, the soundtrack, everything is so good. Those sets are so beautiful and intricate and weird. Watchable.
Yeah, no complaints. Fantastic. I chose, given that I couldn't choose Blade Runner or Race of the Lost Ark, 7.
I had a feeling you were going to choose 7, which also fantastic. Like, what a fucking great movie.
It used to be my girlfriend gauge. Ooh. Like, when I first started dating a person, I would sit them down and watch it with them, and if they still wanted to date me afterwards, then we would. But you know, I sure did stop doing that.
Maybe the one where the woman's head ends up in a box isn't the best gauge there.
In our last episode, I fucked up the writer's name.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
And I'm like, I made a note to myself to say it correctly this time, and then I immediately forgot to write it down.
Andrew Kevin Walker.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what we were even talking about, but I think the first time I was like, Kevin Allen Walker, because in Fight Club, the 3 policemen are named Andrew, Kevin, and Walker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as like because he like did some ghostwriting on Fight Club, but didn't get credited. So
they made him some characters' name. Oh, that's awesome! I love that.
But because they were out of order, my brain is like, wait, what was I? It's Andrew Kevin Walker.
Yep,
wrote 7 and did some work on Fight Club and Sleepy Hollow, and is from the same miserable hometown as myself. It's weird. It's weird that he would take such interest in movies about serial killers and monsters.
Huh.
A movie you hate. Besides Birth of a Nation.
So I had a lot of trouble thinking about this one just because historically I've been very easy to please whenever it comes to cinema. Like aside from being objectively disappointed by Batman Forever and angry about Batman and Robin the first time I saw them as a kid, everything else I watched was like, oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like much later that I was like, oh god, that was a slog early. Like I couldn't finish this or so on and so forth. But I think the one movie that I think about that actually just like makes me upset is Justice League.
Okay.
And it's not either cut. It's the whole fucking thing. It's the Snyder cut. It's the Whedon cut. It's the whole kerfuffle that came up around them. It's just the whole package. I can't stand it. It is the worst of filmmaking and fandom, I think. And like,
I think that's a good reason because like if you're just looking at the movie itself, it's garbage.
Yeah.
But then when you add the fandom's response to it,
it just gets so much worse. And like,
yeah, it's real bad.
There is a universe where Zack Snyder could have just moved on and like dealt with the tragedy that he dealt with in production, and then went on to do other things, and that would have been fine. I don't think he needed to be dragged back into this.
Nope.
You know, and like for a while, I don't think he was interested in going back and dealing with this. Like,
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know that there is certainly a reality where I wish that he hadn't, and it's this one. It's this one right now. Yeah. God. Like, I'm not saying that like the Snyder Cut's not without its merits. Like, again, there's some stuff that he did much better in that movie, but that was a very, very low bar.
His entire DC universe that he built is not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
If it is for you, great.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different versions of the same heroes. There's how many fucking Batmen? Pick your favorite.
I immediately became skeptical of Snyder's vision for the DCEU from Man of Steel. Like when that movie came out and it turned out to be just Dragon Ball Z, like Strongman Randy and Dragon Ball Z, like it just, I was losing interest rapidly.
That's one of those movies where the trailer was fucking gorgeous, and I was excited. And I'm like, oh, the trailer was way better than the movie.
It super was, absolutely was.
I chose 2017's Ghost in the Shell.
Oh,
ScarJo, because this is a movie you hate, not a movie you dislike. Like I dislike many a movie,
sure,
but there are a few that I'm like, I am angry for having sat through that.
And this is up there for you.
Yeah, another one where the trailer was like pretty decent.
I remember the trailer looking pretty good, but like there was just so much outrage about her casting. It was like, probably gonna skip this one.
Even if I had let that pass, which I clearly did because I went and watched the fucking movie. It's a beloved movie. It's based on a beloved movie.
Yeah.
One
franchise.
One that I rented from movies.
Yeah.
As a youth. And I went and watched it. And like, not only is it's a bad adaptation, whatever, there's plenty of those, but that they tried to do a bait and switch with, so the character's traditionally a robot, but also Japanese, a Japanese robot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, as are most of the characters in the movie, recast as ScarJo, who I forget where she's from, but she's white.
She's white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not. I think she is from like Eastern Europe somewhere, but it doesn't matter.
Not important. Yeah.
But within the film, they're like, oh, but like we were doing this woke thing where the ghost of Ghost in the Shell was a little Japanese girl that was then put in the body of a white woman, and isn't that deep? And I'm like, no,
it's not at all,
and it's not part of any version, because there's like 4 different versions of the origin story for Ghost in the Shell, and you guys really kind of put your foot in your mouth there.
Why is that so constantly a thing? Because like fucking Altered Carbon on Netflix did the same shit.
Really?
Where they put an originally Japanese character into a white person's body in the first season of it.
Huh.
And in the second season, they put that same character into Anthony Mackie's body. Huh. Which that got interesting. It's like, okay, now you're having this same person be multiracial and also at various points portrayed in like his original body as well. So like there's all sorts of stuff as that series goes on that's kind of interesting. But like the immediate look is like, oh, you're doing a ScarJo with this kind of, that's odd. But then again, I think that there might actually, like, the source material for that may have actually done that. Okay. So you have the faithfulness of adaptation to lean on a little bit, I think. I don't know 100%.
I didn't know Altered Carbon was an adaptation of anything.
Yeah, I think it's a novel.
Oh, okay.
I think. Anyway.
But Birth of a Nation would have been a more hated movie, but A, I didn't watch it, and B, I didn't think it'd be something worth discussing as much as we have this episode.
Honestly, yeah. I mean,
like, of the sins done by a movie, kind of colorblind versus reinvigorating the Ku Klux Klan, one is a little worse than the other.
A little worse than the other, I'd say. Just a skosh.
But great computer effects in Ghost in the Shell. Like, visually, if I'd turned it off and not listened to anything that was being said, beautiful.
The trailer did make it look visually stunning. I will give it that.
The best parts of the movie were scenes they just ripped straight from the anime.
Fantastic.
The animated movie. There's also like 6 different anime series.
Yeah.
Anyway, a movie that you know is bad, but love anyway.
So for this one, I actually knew what I was going to pick for this right away because it's staring at me from my DVD shelf, as it so often does. Gamer.
I don't know. I know that.
Starring Gerard Butler and Michael C. Hall.
I think I have heard of this. It came out when we were in college.
Yeah. It was like mid 2000s or like late aughts, I think. So it was So the basic idea is that Gerard Butler is a prisoner who, through this bizarre tech scheme that Michael C. Hall's character has come up with, has an opportunity.
Dexter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Michael C. Hall has created this sort of interface where people in the real world can play a video game where they are not controlling a video game character. They're controlling a prisoner through a deathmatch kind of scenario. And if the prisoner in the scenario wins enough fights, they can win their freedom.
Okay.
And so Gerard Butler wants to get out and like be able to go back to his children and his family. I think that he was maybe framed for what he did. It's been a long time since I watched it, but like it is gory and violent and wild. And then in the climax, you of course Michael C. Hall as like this tech magnate turns out to be the bad guy.
What?
Naturally, yeah. All comes down to him like coming out in his big bad guy moment with a musical number. And it's real fucking weird.
I was like, this feels a little bit like Running Man until you said that. And I was like,
it's so strange. It's a really weird movie. It's not good, but god damn it if I didn't enjoy the hell out of it.
Right. I mean, it's a movie that's bad, but you love it anyway.
I did a talk on it in grad school. Just like we had like a little film club where we would we would give a presentation on like why we thought a particular film was interesting or worth talking about, and I brought that in, and like no one liked it, but god, it brought up some great discussion.
Yeah, I bet. I actually have to give that a shot. That's an interesting premise.
I'd watch it again.
I chose another thing I did was I sometimes picked two just in case we doubled up.
Sure.
So I was like, I don't think Joe would pick Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze, but just in case.
Man. That actually was a possibility.
I've also since like gone back and watched the first two live action ones, and I do like the first one more, but I also don't think it's a bad movie. Like I would fight somebody.
The first one's a good movie. If I will die on that hill too. I have a lot of hills I'm dying on this episode.
So many hills. So I picked Conan the Destroyer as my pick.
Ooh.
My actual pick. And I rewatched that last night just to...
the Destroyer. Okay, yeah, you did mention you went back and watched it to make sure it holds up the way you wanted because you didn't want another Daredevil situation.
Where I'm like, I'll pick Daredevil as my like guilty pleasure, and then I watched it. I'm like, I fucking hate this movie now. Conan the Destroyer was still very enjoyable. It's aged poorly in some areas.
Oh, sure. Is this Schwarzenegger?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. The first Conan movie, Conan the Barbarian, is considered to be pretty good. Mm-hmm. The sequel is more like campy, and if I am being completely honest, I do prefer the second one. It's more fun.
Sure.
It has I think Grace Jones in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
As like a warrior woman, she kicks a lot of ass.
Hell yeah!
It's a fun watch. A movie that instantly puts you in a better mood.
So, I did pick a specific one, but I mostly chose it so I could talk about three movies.
Sure.
So I picked Hot Fuzz because it is just, one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life.
It gets better the more you watch it.
It does get better the more you watch it, and it automatically, even if it is kind of propaganda in some ways, like it's so well executed and funny and like just. God, it's so like, and the circularity is so tight. It's so good.
Yes.
It just always puts a smile on my face. But it's the entire Cornetto trilogy. Just all three of them are so fucking good. Like Shaun of the Dead is like the send up of zombie movies that like it was just bar none. It's
the best spoof zombie film.
Yeah, because it's done with such care and such love for the genre, and it's just so goofy and fun and like well done, and the effects are excellent.
I don't know if this was ever a thing that happened to you, but in high school, every once in a while a movie would come out and like all the cool kids would say like, "Oh yeah, have you seen this?" I bet you have because it's so cool. One was like Donnie Darko. Where it's like, "Oh, have you seen Donnie Darko?" Yeah, it's pretty good, there, man. And then
I watched that and went, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
I was definitely one of those kids like, "Oh, have you seen Donnie Darko?"
I mean, it kind of in a good way. Like, what the fuck did I just watch? Because I did go back and watch it like 8 more times, but.
then Shaun of the Dead was also on that list where you're like, oh, have you seen Shaun of the Dead yet?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it released only in like some theaters. Like
it was a limited release for sure.
You had to like drive down to Pittsburgh to see it. And I was like, God damn it.
But even The World's End, like that movie just kind of lives rent free in my head sometimes. Like it like the homage to like Jackie Chan style kung fu films and the like such skillful lampooning of like adult man-child films like The Hangover, is spectacular. And just even just for like if you enjoy the previous two movies in the trilogy, the role reversal between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost is so fucking good. And the drunk acting is so thoroughly believable. Like you really believe that they are actually getting trashed on set because of how well they act drunk. Like it just progresses in these little ways that are just so subtle, and then eventually are very not subtle.
Right.
Just like when you finally have that moment where Nick Frost is like, just like, I don't know, it's just, you have no better ideas, fuck him, go with it. And he runs through the door and jams his hand through the glass accidentally. It's like, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but fuck, it was good.
Have you watched his most recent? I think Last Night in Soho.
Last Night in Soho. No, I have not
really
watched it yet. I'm dying to watch it. It looks so good.
I think it's one of the ones that got like delayed.
It did.
Because of COVID.
Yeah, it did get delayed because of COVID. He had 2 movies come out this past year, actually. He had that, and he had a, not a biopic, but more almost like a documentary style thing about like one of his favorite musical acts.
Okay.
I forget the name of the act, but like that's also something I want to watch. Like I fucking love Edgar Wright.
I would love to have seen his Ant-Man.
Yes. Yeah. Because you can tell from that movie, like, no offense to Peyton Reed, but like, Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man is so good because of the script, and it's Edgar Wright's script.
Yeah. The second one is one of my least favorite.
It's my least favorite MCU film, I think. Yeah.
Nothing against the actors. The actors did a fine job.
No, the actors were fine.
Nearly as strong. For me, I couldn't pick just one. I mean, I guess if I were to pick one, like Ghostbusters is pretty immediately like I'm in a better mood immediately upon watching it. But I also assumed that you would choose it at some point.
I mean, I know that's up there for both of us.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, The Shining. But then I was like, that's a bit of a dark one, eh? Like,
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
And also, like, given what we know about Shelley Duvall, I'm like, it's still hard. It's still top 5.
It's an excellent movie.
Yeah.
Just
so I kind of like chose somewhere in between and went with The Thing. 1982's The Thing.
Oh, yes.
So good.
It's so good. It's just so good.
The performance, the characters, the scripts, the sets, the monster designs.
Yeah. The wet puppets. Just
so gross. The sound that like piece of metal makes on that petri dish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't go wrong. I think one of my...
Fucking John Carpenter. God.
I would love it for him to make like even just like a short film, just like one last little short film for me.
Yeah.
I think for one of my birthdays, I made a bunch of Jags go down to Row House, indie movie house, and they were showing it there, and I was like,
let's go.
Yeah. Did you do a movie you love but would never recommend?
I had a lot of trouble thinking of one, but I just thought of it in the past like 10 minutes. So this is a movie I loved it in college. I have watched it since then.
Boondock Saints, right?
No, not Boondock Saints. It doesn't hold up all that well.
Sure.
But there's still like a bunch of stuff that I enjoyed about it. But I would not recommend it to anybody because I know it's not that great, and
Sure.
B, just the name's extremely off-putting. Wrist Cutters, A Love Story.
Ah, yes. I have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
The only scene I remember is where the guitarist is playing on stage, and because all the characters in the main characters in the cast have committed suicide at some point. And he's just like fuck it, dumps his beer on his electric guitar and electrocutes himself.
Yep.
And like I've felt that at work a number of times.
I think the one that stands out for me is the image of the woman's head in the stove, and as the camera pulls back, there's a Post-it note left there that says, "Are you sorry now?" Just absolutely fucking grim.
I do want to give that a rewatch because there were parts of it I liked, parts of it I didn't care for, but it was also so far away from what I expected.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like there is stuff that like going back and watching it as an adult out of college is like, ugh. Yeah, no, I didn't enjoy that the way that I thought I would have. But or the way that I know I did earlier in life, like, ugh. But you know, there's still a lot of it that's like that is kind of fun and you know, like the movie has a lot of problems, and again, I would not recommend it to anybody, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's definitely not a thing that I'm like sitting on the bus with somebody having a discussion about movies. I'm like, oh, have you seen this movie? You should give it a shot.
I think Shea Wiggum in particular, I thought was really interesting. And there's probably an argument for this being culturally appropriative, like the way that his performance works. But his inspiration for his character is the lead vocalist and one of the guitarists for the band Gogol Bordello.
Okay, yeah,
and that tickled me then, and it still tickles me now. It's just like I feel like he did. You could tell he's having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. I'm listening to them in my head.
Yeah,
it's like one of the bands you've said. I'm like, I know that one.
Yeah, finally, I did it.
Yeah. I probably know of them from that movie.
It could be that could very well be.
I went with the movie that I've talked to you about before. So I'm going to hold up here to the camera.
Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Yes.
Okay, you have talked to me about that before. Yeah.
Specifically because we were going to sit down and watch Mandy.
Yeah.
Which is the same. God, I'm going to try to say the director's name. Panos Cosmatos?
Sure.
Let
me see.
His dad directed Rambo 3.
Oh, good Lord.
So he wrote and directed Mandy, but his first feature is Beyond the Black Rainbow. And if you had trouble getting through Mandy because it's not a super straightforward narrative, you're gonna hate this one. Then, yeah.
I think his filmmaking style is best summed up as slow heavy metal music playing.
This is psychedelic. For Mandy, yes. This one's more of a psychedelic.
Oh, it's just slow psychedelic music playing.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
I've written many a time to the soundtrack. It's kind of like if you took the last 20 minutes of 2001: A Space Odyssey, with just the parts of Stranger Things that happens with Papa.
Okay, yeah.
And like Heaven's Gate. Not the movie, the cult.
Oh, God. Fuck.
The length of Heaven's Gate, but the terrible acts of Heaven's Gate.
The worst of both things.
So I love it. It's definitely more of a visual film. It's not quite full on Jodorowsky because I know what the fuck happened, but it's if I'm sure you've heard of the triangle of like substance. If you're writing a movie, you can have character, style, and plot. And you can only choose two, or you can have like a little bit of each.
Yep.
This is he moved all the sliders to style.
Okay.
And if you like dark synth, go for it, man. I was just rewatching because another one I'm like, I haven't watched this in years. I wonder if it's still like I'm like, yeah. Also a little bit of THX 1138 in there.
Okay.
But it's not a movie I would even recommend to most movie fans. Not because it's like heinous. It's just like most people are going to watch it and be like, this was slow and boring and I didn't care. I'm like, yeah, there's no plot. It's just pretty and dark.
And weird.
And there's like one scene where you trip balls real hard.
Hell yeah.
So that's our 5.
That's our 5.
I went beyond.
You'd mentioned you'd done a little bit more. So you also did the...
Overrated superhero.
Overrated superhero movie, because that's what we asked Raphael that one.
Yes, and then I also did a movie I love that instantly puts me in a bad mood.
Right,
the reverse of the other one.
Fascinating.
Overrated superhero movie. Maybe this will get us canceled. There's two. I could go with.
No. Okay.
The one, and I should say, like, I don't think either of these are bad movies. I just don't think that they deserve quite the amount of love that they got. 2017's Wonder Woman.
Ooh.
Yeah. I really enjoy the first act and most of the second act, but the third act is a clusterfuck.
That's kind of just a superhero cinema problem,
Yes,
I feel like.
yes.
Because Marvel is like notable for having that issue through a lot of their movies.
I think, especially their earlier films, and I think what happened, and I have no way to back this up, I think what happened was they had a number of people working on the script, and they couldn't decide what they wanted to do, and they switched their villain at the last second because they're like, oh, well, this villain that we have been going with and have been leading you to isn't good enough for the big punch fight at the end. So let's switch over to this. And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't really foreshadow that or lead to that. And it's weird to think of Ares with a mustache.
All right.
And there's also a lot of it feels like a lot of hastily done CGI. So it's not a bad movie. And I was talking to Belinda about this where I'm like, this is not a movie for me.
Okay.
I mean, it is I still paid the monies to see it, but at that time, the Marvels and the DCs are still afraid to have a female-led superhero movie.
Right.
And since I am a cis white fella,
Was this post Captain Marvel? I forget what year that came out. Was that 2018?
they were really close to each other. I think Wonder Woman came out first.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
And I'm like, this is to prove that there can be a female-led superhero movie, which there obviously can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially considering what else DC has put out for their movies.
Oh, God.
It's in my top 5, but that's because there's only a top 3. So.
They've done a bad job.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So that's one I think's overrated.
Okay. Interesting. I still haven't seen either of the Wonder Womans.
The second one's absolute garbage. I have no issue saying that it's
I've heard some shit about the second one that makes me just not want to watch it. But
it's astounding. Like the first one had its issues. The second one, I'm like, what did you do? Like you supposedly were given full control over the story, and you pooped. You pooped.
You pooped. That's not D.W. Griffith's grave.
That's not.
No, you hold that in. Oh, man. Overrated superhero film. I'm not sure what I would say for this, honestly. I've picked on Justice League a lot.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if I can say that again. Just
there's also movies that I think have kept their fandom but aged poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It is beloved, but it was also like aged poorly.
I can see that compared to how superhero movies have been done in recent years. Like, yeah, it's. I'd have to go back and watch it again, but yeah,
they needed time to crack the formula,
which they did in 2. I
definitely were like heavy on the way to like. As far as adapting a comic book to a movie, yes, absolutely. Because like I think Iron Man's another one I would say is overrated in its like nostalgia versus its
kind of. I that one I have watched again more recently, like within the past like 4 or 5 years or so, and
same.
I don't know, like I still feel like that one holds up pretty well.
Yeah, it's not
bad.
But given how much Marvel has succeeded in the last couple of years, I'm like, oh man, just because Marvel's kicked so much ass, you are now like below the top 5, top 10.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to think about. But like that's kind of like the issue with Phase 1 is like the Phase 1 and some of Phase 2 is like they're still going with like we have to tell these formulaic stories,
right.
And they're only now starting to like get out of that and like let people tell stories in their own voices. Which thank you Taika Waititi for fucking breaking that wall down. Jesus, I can't wait to see what Raimi does with Doctor Strange. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. Oh my God!
But more importantly, who's Bruce Campbell going to be?
He's got to be in there somewhere. Like you know he's going to show up.
Vote for who?
No, damn it!
I'm still bummed that Nathan Fillion never got to really pop up as Wonder Man because he was perfect for that.
Well, hey, who knows? We'll see what James Gunn puts together in Guardians 3.
We have Guardians 3 and we have the holiday special.
We do have the holiday special as well.
Two more chances for Nathan Fillion.
There's still some opportunity to get Nathan Fillion in there. I mean, he did work him into the Suicide Squad
excellently too.
Yeah,
just like the fuck.
I love that even the other characters like that. TDK means the detachable kid,
and the power worked pretty well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my god.
You don't have to answer. This was one I just kind of did for kicks.
Yeah, no, I'm really like mostly because I just don't want to say Justice League again.
Right. I mean,
Batman v Superman.
There we go. The prequel to
yeah.
Great, cool. All right, let's finish up with movies that I love but make me feel bad inside. I have 3, partially because one is a doc.
Okay.
God, if you ever want to really feel shitty, just straight shit. Like you lose all faith in humanity. Watch, and it is an excellent film. Dear Zachary.
I have heard that. Yeah, I have. Yeah. I don't entirely know what it's about, but I have heard like, yeah, no, this will crush you.
It's I guess technically it's true crime, but it's also has to deal with like the failure of the child welfare system, and some custody issues, and it all is just the fucking worst.
Okay, yeah, that would be harrowing.
Yeah. Then I wanted to pick an older one as well, so I went with Touch of Evil, which is an Orson Welles film.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
It's kind of came at the end of the original run of film noir. He plays a old sheriff who's corrupt as fuck. It also has Charlton Heston in, I don't know, he's supposed to be Hispanic. And they tried to do that. It didn't age well.
No, Charlton Heston in brownface. Just wait, is he actually like painted? Yeah, oh no, yeah. Charlton, no.
Yeah. So luckily it's in like black and white, so that helps a little, I guess. That aside. It just shows like like most noir does, shows the worst aspects of human beings.
Sure.
And it does a great job of like making you hate the good guys and like the bad guys, noir shit. Mm-hmm. It's, if you have heard of it, you've probably heard of it for its opening scene. It's a long shot where you see some youths put a bomb in the trunk of a car that's crossing the U.S. border into Mexico. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't cut. You're just like slowly watching this car, not sure when it's going to explode. And it's pretty good. Again, has not aged well. Meh. And then the last one I picked is 1997's The Ice Storm, which is an Ang Lee film.
I'm not familiar with it.
It is about two families in the age of the sexual revolution. Mm-hmm. They're kind of swingers.
Okay.
There's a lot of like infidelity.
Like you do.
Right. And it takes place over Thanksgiving holiday. Tobey Maguire is the eldest son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Tobey Maguire's the eldest son. His younger brother is Elijah Wood.
Shit.
Christina Ricci is the other family's daughter.
The fuck?
It has Kevin Kline is the dad. It's a great cast.
This is an amazing cast.
It's an amazing film, but you will just feel like shit at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because it's just about a bunch of people who don't have the ability to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Within their family, and like everyone's like either discovering their sexuality or trying to keep it spicy and having it not go well. I first heard about the film in Wizard magazine.
What?
Because this should tell you how old I am. It was an article on movies that have anything to do with superheroes, because back at that time even like 97. Yeah, like 97, 98. There were so little superhero movies that to make a list of like top 25, they had to include movies that mentioned superheroes. And little Elijah Wood, I think he's a fan of the Fantastic Four in it.
Ah, okay.
And he like does a book report on the Fantastic Four, which like back then,
that's kind of
like,
great.
You're like, oh, this has something to do with superheroes. We can put it on the list because there's only 6 superhero movies to pick from.
Back when it was slim pickings.
Yeah, you had the Batmans and the Supermans,
Yep.
and the Turtles, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I've lent the movie to a number of people. This is kind of my get crazy where I've like lent it to people and they're like, thank you. It wasn't for me.
Fair.
It's worth watch. Just know that you're going to not feel good at the end of it.
Cool. I think for me right now, that's Bo Burnham's Inside.
Oh God, yeah. That's a really good pick.
Though I still can't stop listening to Welcome to the Internet. Like, that song's fucking bleak, but god damn it, I love it.
There's a lot of really good songs in that special.
Yeah.
But they will not make you feel good.
No!
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's a weird mix of, like, the first time I watched, I'm like, I am both very happy because that was enjoyable, but I'm also fucking miserable.
Because of the state of the world that I've had to be faced with.
It's kind of like when I watched Vice, and I was like, that was an excellent film. And now I want to jump in front of a bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us at DeRazzled. Hope you had a great time. A lot of good movie recommendations.
So, yeah. So, as a reminder, head over to our Twitter to find the survey or the poll. Head over to our Twitter to find the poll to vote on what our season 1 finale will be, whether it is Diana the Musical or Thunder Force. Jesus Christ. Find us on social media, on Twitter at DeRazzledPod, on Instagram at DeRazzled_podcast, on Facebook at DeRazzledPodcast, and then on TikTok. Is it just your TikTok?
For now, but I'm going to change it to
So it's there. Yeah. So it's at Dullboy Jack
currently
on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Jack puts together some fucking gold on TikTok that never ceases to just to make me laugh.
It's a real special kind of dumb.
Send us an email at DeRazzledPodcast at gmail.com if you want to vote for the finale that way, or if you want to send us a review of our fixes of the various movies that we've done, or if you want to suggest movies to get covered in season 2, as season 1 is rapidly coming to a close. So yeah, please do all those things, and also follow, subscribe, and rate and review the show as much as you can on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Good Pods, on Podchaser, wherever you listen to podcasts and can possibly review or rate us. Please do, so that we get in front of more people's eyeballs. We really are thankful for the following that we've got here and for how many people have really enjoyed the show and keep listening and sharing us. And we want to get to as many people as possible. So please help us keep that going.
Make sure you've eaten a lot of Taco Bell, a lot of Miralax, so that when you visit D.W. Griffith's tombstone,
wash it all down with just like the biggest gas station coffee you possibly can.
I was gonna say, like, and if you forget toilet paper, just kind of drag your ass along the grass, like you're a dog. Don't worry, you will not be arrested. Everyone knows the situation there.
The groundskeepers are very understanding.
They just ask that when you're done to use hand sanitizer.
We are still in the midst of a pandemic. We don't need to spread any germs.
Need not be irresponsible. Hey, come back next time. We're sure to
razzle dazzle you.
Oh, God.